In our third story for today, this week we saw that the police in South Africa discovered an illegal military training site that was housing, I believe, 95 Libyan nationals. Hmm. And these Libyan nationals were receiving illegal military training in South Africa. They've been arrested, and the camp was also raided by police forces, and the police forces found military tents, ammunition, and other military equipment. This is a very worrying situation. They said that the the camp is owned by a South African, and he had registered it for a private security training outlet, but then it was converted to this illegal military training site. So I have several questions. Number one, who is training them? Now they know I believe they will definitely get the owner of the camp. They will get the person in for questioning. Who are the people who set up this training structure? Who is training them? Who is funding it? Because the person who owns the camp may not necessarily be the person that is funding it. Some may have rented it. We don't know. So who is funding it? That's number two. Number three, for what purpose? Is it for terrorist acts? Because if it's an illegal military training site, why are they training military personnel without the government approval? That's as good as creating an alternate army. If you're creating an alternate army in South Africa, what is the purpose for? Is it to cause terrorism across South Africa? Is it to overthrow the South African government? Because now we have to be asking it as wild questions as we can. Is it for overthrowing the South African president? Is it for because they're Libyan nationals? Is it training them to do terrorism activities in Libya? Or are they being trained to do terrorist activities across Africa? I have a lot of questions, right? So this is but when I saw this story, one of the first thing that came to my mind was we need to develop our intelligence agency and our local militaries. On this show several times I've told you I don't like foreign military bases, because the excuse for having foreign military bases in Africa is to give us protection and blah 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 blah. We have seen that the foreign military bases have failed at that. So, and several times I have said that the most important thing in Africa is our intelligence and our local military to build it. This is a prime example. Because I'm wondering how many other sites like this do we have across Africa? This is the way they train terrorists in Africa. And many times, it may be outsiders, it may also be locals or outsiders in collaboration with locals. This how, hey, God of Nazareth. We have a lot of work to do in Africa. So this is why I said we are intelligence agencies need to come together and even begin to collaborate with each other. Because if you look at the United States now, between they call them the five eyes, that is the United States, the United Kingdom, Canada, New Zealand, and Australia. The CIA and their respective intelligence unit, they share information with each other. Because there are some things that we might find out in South Africa, they will need that information in Egypt. There are some things we might find out in Gabon. They will need that information in Madagascar. There are some things we might find out in Rwanda. They will need that information in Ghana or even in the Central African Republic. So we need our intelligence agencies to begin to work together. And I believe this is one of the reasons that Niger, Burkina Faso, and Mali decided to set up that confederation, because one of the things included in that confederation is to share intelligence information together, share intelligence, and also their military can do counter border. They can move from one border to the other to make sure their fight against terrorism is efficient and effective. Several times we talk a lot about the actual combat, like they are doing in Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger to fight terrorism. But the most effective way to fight to bring peace in Africa is to make sure the fire does not start. And how can you ensure the fire does not start? You ensure the fire does not start when our intelligence is top notch. It's top notch. This story is what it's one of all the things that we're discussing today, and of all the news that came out. Definitely a lot of news come out in Africa every week. Of all the news that came out in Africa this week, this is the most worrisome one. Thank God they were found. What if they were not found? Could these people who have done? And they just found only 95. Who knows how many others? Who knows how many others that want to bring instability to the amazing South Africa? How many other terrorism activities in Africa, in different countries across Africa, how many others began like this? Just a group of people in an illegal military site getting military training from we don't know who, funded by we don't know who, propped up by we don't know who. Hmm. There's a lot of work we need to do in this continent. Oh. There's a lot of work because something like this, you hardly find it in countries in Europe. Very hardly. Very hardly. Why? Because their intelligence is strong. Their intelligence sharing is strong. I just told you how the Five Eyes, US, UK, Canada, United, Australia, and New Zealand, how they work together to share intelligence within themselves. That is why you hardly see all this terrorism going on in these countries, in these respective countries, because their intelligence is up, is on top. I don't know. But then if you look at many of these intelligence agents, so-called intelligence agents in Africa, like the one we have in Nigeria, they call DSS, nothing that's turned to the military arm of politicians, where politicians want you to terrorize their opponents and citizens that are not they're not playing according to what they want. Instead of these are the kind of things that you should be doing. This is intelligence. After all, Ukraine just told us in the early segment I mentioned in the first segment of this episode, Ukraine came out to tell us that one of the ways they help the terrorists in Mali is by giving them intelligence. How is it that Africa did not know? How did we not get the intelligence that such a thing was about to happen that would lead to the devastating loss of lives of the Malian military? We have a lot of work to do. We have a lot of work to do. And I pray we wake up. I really pray we wake up. Because things like this cannot be going on. Because the more things like this happen, the more Africa is is unstable. Is unstable. It doesn't matter who outside wants this instability or who are the nefarious players within the continent that want instability. Instability does not benefit the people of Africa. It doesn't. So we need to begin to think of ways. Let me know in the comment section below. What do you think? If it looks like our governments are not yours, how can we be able to stop things like this from going on? How can we work, even as citizens, what can we do to help our intelligence within the continent? Let me know what you think in the comment section below. I'm so glad that South African police were able to find this. I'm so happy. I'm really so glad. And I hope that the perpetrators are they face the full extent of the law. Let me know what you think about this whole thing that's going on that happened in South Africa. Share your thoughts with me in the comment section below. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe to this channel, and share this video with your friends so that we can push this message to reach more people across the continent and even across the world who are interested in working together to build our amazing continent.